Hey everyone, good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you're at. Thanks for joining us today for our onboard webinar on top tips. As everyone is joining, while we're waiting for everyone to file in here, I would love to hear from you on your top tips for the year. So if you've got top tip or best practice for using onboard, feel free to use that chat feature. Drop that in there and share what's been helpful for you. So always exciting to hear some tips from other admins and users in the system. So go ahead and share that if you'd like, and we will get started here in just a minute. Alrighty. It is 1 minute after. I'm going to give everyone one more minute and then we will dive in because we've got a lot to cover today. See a few familiar names on this list here. That's exciting. Thanks everyone for joining. Lots of you joining. This is fantastic. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. So, again, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. Um, I know your time is valuable, especially here at the beginning of the year when we've got all of these big projects and initiatives going. So, thanks for taking the time. So, today's webinar, we are going to chat through top tips for 2026. We want to make sure it's your most successful year yet. So, I'm going to do a quick introduction, go through some housekeeping, and then we're going to dive right into some top tips. We're going to go over a couple frequently asked questions and take some time at the end for Q&A. So, speaking of that, just some quick housekeeping. You guys are muted by default. So if you do have any questions, I would love if you could use that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. If you've got any comments or any tips you want to share with others on the webinar today, please feel free to use that chat function. Let us know if there's anything you need throughout the webinar. So, as a quick intro, my name is Jess. I have been a customer success manager here on board for almost 5 years. So, I work exclusively now with our larger enterprise customers. I've got about 10 years of experience in customer success now, from various roles and organizations. So, a lot of time I've spent working with customers. There's always those common pain points, but I love addressing those challenges, talking through those unique use cases. What I found is we can always find a way to make it happen in onboard. So never hesitate to throw those use cases at all of us here. We love to problem solve and make sure that you are set up for success. So we're going to jump right in and chat through some top tips. So, I want to start off just by saying, your board has chosen to invest in onboard for a reason. So, this year, my challenge to you is to find incremental ways to get more value. Doesn't have to be a major overhaul, just pick one or two features or new processes to start implementing. So some of these features I'm going to cover today, they may not be in your current onboard plan, so we will have a poll question towards the end that'll give you an opportunity to raise your hand, let us know you want to connect with your account manager to get more information. And we do have a full agenda over the next 30 minutes. So if any feature that I cover sparks your interest and you want to do a deeper dive, please feel free to reach out to your customer success manager for some additional training. So let's jump right in. So the first tip is going to be to streamline your meeting workflows. Onboard helps streamline your meeting from the creation all the way to minutes finalization. So whether you're the sole manager of the meeting or if you have multiple contributors, every step of the meeting process can be done right in Onboard. So some of you are using Onboard meetings really consistently. but not completely. So you're not getting the full benefits because you're still doing some extra work outside of the platform. So let's simplify that. To get started, one of my favorite tips with meeting creation is to duplicate meetings. So as long as you are an admin of that meeting, on that main meeting page, if you click the three dots to the right of a meeting and bring up that menu of options, you'll see the option to duplicate. So when you do that, that is going to copy over all of the content from that meeting into a new meeting space minus the documents. So you're going to have that agenda copied over that you can just edit rather than start from scratch. You're going to have all of those invitees carry over, including their permissions. So if you've got some upgraded to admin or upgraded to a contributor, maybe you excluded someone, all of that's going to carry over. So it really saves a lot of time, and it also ensures that you're consistently inviting the right people and giving them the right permission level. So it's a really great time saver. Once you have a couple meeting templates in place for a full board meeting, some committee meetings, there's no need to start from scratch each time. So another great way to streamline is to use our integrations. So we have the option to integrate your Zoom or Teams account so you can set up that remote meeting directly from the onboard meeting. And we also have a calendar integration so you don't have to leave onboard, go into Outlook, create the meeting invitation, send that separately, send the onboard meeting out. You can do that all in one place. So you can create that remote meeting link directly in the meeting, and when you set that meeting to meeting details, you'll have the option to send a calendar invitation directly from the onboard meeting. It will be sent out on your behalf, so it's going to look for your board members just like any other calendar invite they're used to getting. They can RSVP to that, and it will sync that to the onboard meeting. So no duplication of efforts. You can make sure that all of the information is synced and correct. So there's never going to be a case of the calendar invitation says 3 o'clock, but the onboard meeting says 4. It's all going to be synced up and accurate. Another tip I love is to use unnumbered agenda sections. It's not a glaringly obvious option when you're creating that agenda. So I always like to highlight this because it's a little hidden tip. So when you're in that edit agenda mode and you hover over an agenda number, you'll have the arrow turn into a little hand, and that's where you can click on that and choose to unnumber the section, so remove section numbering. So that's going to create a header rather than an agenda item. So I see this used for 2-day meetings. That's one that comes up pretty frequently with my customers. So it's a great way to break up the agenda, use that space to set a duration so that your time lines up accurately for the second day. You can also use it to just house content that maybe doesn't belong on the agenda. Those unnumbered agenda sections won't show up in the table of content, so they're just great spacers, so to speak. Another option is to utilize supplementary documents. So I like using this for items you probably wouldn't want to include in the board book typically. So, great example, pretty basic, but if your board is meeting and breaking for lunch and you want to provide that lunch menu 3 years from now, that doesn't need to be in the official board book to look back on, but it's super helpful to have the day of. So, use supplementary documents just for additional content that doesn't need to be on the or within the board book. Maybe use that even for like a PowerPoint presentation that you want to be able to bring up that day, but doesn't need to be included in the materials. So one of my favorite tips for ensuring that you're not going to lose annotations with any last minute changes to the meeting materials is to utilize that 365 document editing tool. So if you have uploaded a Word, PowerPoint, or Excel file, and maybe morning of the meeting, someone points out an error in the document or a quick change they need, you don't have to delete that document and upload a new copy. You can actually edit that without leaving onboard. And what that does is it's going to tell onboard it's still the same document. So those annotations that your board members might have made on the document are going to be retained. So this is huge. A lot of board members, get frustrated and stop taking notes if they're finding that they're going missing the day of the meeting. So this is a way to retain those and also save you a lot of time and hassle so you don't have to replace documents, you can edit them. And then lastly, we're taking that meeting from creation to minutes and finalizing those. So OnBoard now has two different ways to take minutes. We have our minutes builder tool, which has been around for a while now. That's going to be that more traditional block note taking. So you can make a copy of the agenda, add those note boxes under each agenda topic, and you can manually take notes during the meeting. You can prep it ahead of time. You can add motions. A lot of different options with that. That's going to be that more traditional note-taking option for minutes. That's part of our premium package, so a lot of you probably already have access to that. So our newer option is our Minutes AI tool, and this is where you're able to record and transcribe the meeting within OnBoard, and then through the power of AI, you can click a button and it's going to take that transcript of the meeting, merge it with your meeting's agenda, and create that first draft of your minutes for you. Great time saver, really awesome way to be able to take minutes and not be tied to your computer. Maybe you get pulled away during a meeting for something. This is going to ensure you don't miss anything in those minutes, so it's going to help ensure you have more accurate recording. So again, from beginning to the end, onboard meetings, you can streamline all of that in one single place. So the second tip is going to be to take action. The start of a new calendar year is a really common time for a lot of my board groups to be doing those annual tasks, and a lot have some board turnover this time as well. Or maybe for your board, this happens over the summer, maybe going into the fall semester. So whenever that is, I know a lot of you dread it because it's extra work. Maybe there's not a lot of organization, there's no game plan. And you probably are spending a lot of time chasing down, one or two people's forms. So, on an even larger scale, this is often the time that boards are doing their strategic planning, but maybe there's not a lot of guidance or any clear direction with that. So, three of these tools, we kind of lump those together and call them our annual planning tools. So, they're not used as frequently, but they can be powerful tools in both decision making and time saving. So, assessments, D&O questionnaires, and skills tracking are those three. Assessments are really great for being able to identify those areas where there's some improvement that needs to be made and help you align your board strategic initiatives with those. So it's going to be able to give your board the opportunity to anonymously grade the board on various categories, different questions, to really assess what are the areas we are excelling in and what are the areas we need to improve on. These assessments can be started from a template for a full board assessment. We also have a template for a self-assessment for individual directors, or you can start from scratch if you already have one in place that you like. So a lot of great ways to utilize this. It's very easy to use if you want to use those questions already in place and edit those, and really simple for your board members to take as well. What I like is it's a great way to compare year over year performance. So you can see, hey, last year our fundraising category, we were only at a 4.2. This year, the board took that same question, and now we're sitting at a 4.5. So we've seen some improvement in our fundraising this year. So it's a great way to see where you're excelling, where you can improve. The D&O questionnaires tool is most commonly used for compliance forms such as conflict of interest forms. You can use it whether it is just a more of a statement where they just have to read and sign off on that, or if it's a more complex questionnaire that they have to fill out those answers. Regardless of how yours is set up, I've had customers use it both ways, and it's really a fantastic way to have that in onboard. One of the things that board members like about it is when you copy that from year to year, it'll actually copy over their answers as well. So the next year, instead of having to answer all those questions again, this year, all they have to do is maybe skim through it, check for any changes, and then sign off on it. So it's a really quick process in subsequent years. And then lastly is skills tracking. So this is a great way to be prepared for any upcoming board turnover that might be happening and really be able to quickly identify any gaps in experience and skill set. So you can filter that down by committee if you're looking to see who's leaving a committee and, kind of some experience they're taking with them. You can filter it by individuals. So there's a lot of options with it to be able to really quickly see where you need to be looking for, new members to join, kind of what you're looking for in a member. If someone's leaving the board that's been with you for a decade, that's a lot of skills, that's a lot of experience that they're taking with them. So, what do you need to be looking for in new board members? And some of the answers may surprise you. Your board may have some skill set and experience you didn't even know about. So, this can be done. The admins can add those skills for the board members, and the board members can also self-report those skills from their profile as well. So, really easy to use and a really great planning tool. And then lastly, one of the tools that can be used anytime for a number of different things is surveys. This is actually one of my favorite tools in OnBoard because there's just so many things you can do with it, and it's really easy to use as the admin managing it, but also as a director completing it. So instead of keeping track of a dozen different email responses for an upcoming board retreat, you could export the answers to a spreadsheet and view it by individual submission. So, for example, you can see, yes, John is attending the welcome dinner, he's bringing his spouse, and he needs a hotel room. Or the other viewing option is you can view the totals for each question. So we have 18 attendees coming for the welcome dinner, and we have 15 hotel rooms we need to have reserved. So I love the survey tool to use for a number of different things. I'm constantly hearing admins talking about different use cases for it. So I think it's a really easy tool to implement from both the admin side and from a director side. So our third tip is going to be to apply AI effectively. So 69% of directors are already using AI. But are they taking your sensitive board information and copying that into ChatGPT to prep for a meeting? Onboard's models run in a closed, permission-aware environment, so it is tied to your board materials, providing both security and consistency. A lot of boards that I've spoken with over the last year have indicated they're still working through that process of establishing AI policies, exploring the best way to use it, trying to figure out what's going to make sense for them. And some haven't even given it much thought. But as I just mentioned, 69% of directors are already using it in some manner. So AI isn't coming, it is already here. So the key is actually, being in control of how your board's using it and maximizing the benefits from it. OnBoard has launched our AI suite that has 3 features already, and we will be adding 3 more over the course of this year. We've already seen some big wins for our customers, especially with the Minutes AI tool. I actually have a customer who said she shaved off over 2 hours of working on her meeting minutes by having that Minutes AI tool. So I loved hearing that, and I would love to see more of you being able to take advantage of that this year. The 3 aspects of our AI suite that are already launched is our Agenda AI, which is great for that initial creation stage. We talked about duplicating meeting templates, but if your agenda changes from meeting to meeting. There's not a lot of consistency. Maybe there's a lot of different people involved in planning those agenda topics. This is a really easy way to pull that information in, whether it's an email or a document, copying that into OnBoard and having that go ahead and produce the agenda for you. Minutes AI, like we talked about a little bit earlier, is a way to record and transcribe your minutes and have it generate an editable draft of your minutes in minutes. A little bit of a tongue twister there, but it'll create your minutes in minutes. And then Book AI is a wonderful feature for your board members to be able to use. So this is a great way for them to be able to easily and quickly prep for a meeting. If you've got a 200-page board book, that's a lot to digest. They can use Book AI to summarize agenda sections so they can quickly be able to digest what's coming up, what they need to be thinking about and aware of. And what I like about it is, unlike ChatGPT, that those results may vary depending on the prompts you give it. Book AI is going to ensure that every single board member reading your board book is going to get the exact same summary of those sections. So you know there's going to be consistency in the information that they're getting and how they're prepping for the meeting. So the last three features that we will be releasing this year is going to be Assist AI, Insights AI, and Actions AI. So there's still more to come. There's still going to be even more ways to integrate AI into your boardroom. So I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited about the direction that OnBoard is going with AI, and I think it's really going to be a game changer for a lot of our boards. So the next tip, and probably the most critical one, is to increase board engagement. Now, I know a lot of you right now are like, well, duh, that's of course what we want to be doing. We've been trying that for years now. So the problem is, board members are usually complaining about OnBoard being just one more thing they have to remember their login for, remember how to use. So a lot of times what I see is my admins are like, I'll just make it easy for them. I'll just email the board book to them as a PDF, or I'll just email them those resource documents. But what happens is you're doing a couple things. One, you're creating double the work for yourself, which is never effective. And you're also undermining the value of OnBoard. So, what I have found, and what a lot of experts tell us, is that habits are formed not by motivation, but by having systems in place. So, it's in our human nature to do what's easiest, what's right in front of us. So, if you want your OnBoard to work better for you, if you want your board members to use it more, you have to put those systems and processes in place to foster better engagement. So, a few things I've seen be successful for my boards that I work with is to move that communication into OnBoard exclusively. A lot of my groups are using OnBoard in a lot of ways, but they're still emailing their board for all their board communication. So their members are still having to constantly remember, was that sent by email? Is that an OnBoard? Where do I go? So utilizing announcements and the messenger tool is a great way to move that communication into the platform. It keeps everything in one place and it also keeps it secure. All it takes when sending out an email is to include the wrong person's email address in that, and suddenly someone outside of your board has sensitive board information. So it's really critical to, as you're going into this year, think about not only how you can be more effective as a board, but security is definitely a big one. I know some groups I work with, that's one of the main reasons they purchased OnBoard was the security. So utilize announcements for one-sided, more FYI type communication. So, for example, post the meeting schedule for 2026 as an announcement. You can even pin that at the top. So, regardless of how many others you post throughout the year, that one can stay pinned and be the very first thing they see. Messenger is a great tool for more collaboration and discussion. That is something you can use to message an individual or an entire group. You can include attachments just like an email. and your members can reply, you can foster discussion. So maybe use that to discuss an upcoming fundraiser event. So again, streamlining everything into onboard. Another thing kind of tied to that I would mention too is documents, that you might send out. If someone reaches out and asks for a document from resources, instead of going into resources yourself, downloading the document, and then emailing it to them as a PDF, go ahead, open up that document in Onboard, and at the top of the page, copy that URL and send them the link to the URL and say, hey, thanks for reaching out. This is actually already in Onboard for you. Here's the link. That's going to start training your board to think to go to Onboard first. So maybe you have to do that 2 or 3 times, but maybe eventually they'll start going to Onboard resources and looking for that themselves. It's going to save them a lot of time and you especially as the admin. So we've also found that the best user experience for a board member is in the onboard app. So I would absolutely encourage your board members to download the app to their phone or tablet or both for that easy on-the-go use. So what I love about it is you get notifications in real time so you don't miss an important email notification. And you can even review your board book offline. So if your board members travel frequently for work, it's a great way for them to prep for a board meeting, maybe on a flight, and be ready even if they don't have access to internet. So again, most of my directors that use Onboard prefer using the app. There's not really anything in Onboard that they can't do through the app exclusively. Now, I understand that some members are very change averse, and that can oftentimes be one of the biggest hurdles to getting your board more engaged. While I would love to offer you a perfect solution for that, there really isn't one. However, we can equip you with the resources for your board members so they can at least know how to use Onboard. And we can help you with that messaging around, why they should use Onboard, show them the benefits of it. So we have a lot of training and support here to offer you. So board members can get training through a few different ways. Um, they can do live training webinars with our customer education manager. Those are offered twice a week to accommodate busy schedules. And you can also schedule board training with your CSM. I actually have a few groups that I do annual board trainings for. It's a great opportunity to introduce any new members to the platform, but also ensure that your current members aren't falling behind, aren't silently suffering. So definitely utilize that as an option as well. So lastly, become an expert with Onboard Academy. Onboard Academy is our free self-guided learning portal for you to be able to uh, dig deeper into Onboard, learn more, and be able to get certified if you take a learning path. It is based on your permission level and onboard plan, so it will be tailored to what you need, or it will be tailored to your board members as they log in as well. So we had over 11,000 customers complete courses, or sorry, 11,000 courses completed by our customers in Onboard last year. So I've personally gotten some great feedback from it and definitely encourage you to utilize that tool to help you learn more and feel more empowered to use Onboard this year. So before we dive in, do some quick Q&A and review some frequently asked questions, we do have a quick question for you. So we're going to have that up on the screen if you want to just take a moment to complete that. We'll make sure that we get in touch with you if there is something you're wanting to learn more about. So I'll give you just a second to fill that out, and then we will dive into our FAQ. Alrighty, let's jump over to the next. There we go. All right, so we do have a few questions we get very frequently around here that we just wanted to quickly cover. So, number one, I get asked this almost on a weekly basis. How do I update my board member's email address? Well, due to security, only a user can update their email address. So that has to be done from their profile settings, and all they have to do is click on Change Onboard ID. So it's a very quick, easy way to do that. But it is something that has to be done on their end. So definitely, we do have a help article that you can share with them if they're having any issues, but it is something for them only. So another question would be, what's the best way to give another admin the same access that I have? So you can do this with one click by going to your profile settings and delegating your admin permissions. This is going to copy over all the access that you have over to someone else as a one-time duplication. So it will not delegate that. It will not copy that going forward. So you will want to be mindful of that in the future. But this is really great if there is any admin turnover and you want to ensure that they're not missing out on anything. The next one would be, why can't a committee admin edit a meeting I invited them to? So we run into questions about permissions pretty frequently, but being an admin for a group does not automatically grant them access, grant them admin rights to a meeting. So to allow them to manage that meeting for their committee, for example, you will want to assign them as a meeting admin within the meeting that they need to manage. So again, that group permission doesn't transfer over to other areas of the platform. You'll still want to take that step. And then lastly, can I reopen an action item? No, you can't. So unfortunately, I have some admins that have learned this the hard way. Once an action item like a survey or approval is closed, it can't be reopened. So as a best practice, we actually recommend not setting an end date. So that is not a required field. You can create an action item, leave that end date off, and then once everyone's completed, you can go in and manually close it yourself. So that's just going to ensure you don't have any surprises. You don't have that one person that didn't complete that approval. Alrighty, let's jump in to our Q&A. So give me just a moment. I know we had quite a few come through. So let me just take a look at these. Do we integrate with Google Meet? So we don't currently. Right now, our integration is with Zoom and Teams, but you're always welcome to go ahead and submit that as a feature request, so we can make sure that we can, potentially explore that in the future. Is there a way to send the calendar invite and have the Zoom information that is in the meeting? So, the only way to have that Zoom information displaying in the calendar invite itself would be to go into your calendar event afterwards and copy that into it directly. By default, it's going to direct them to the onboard meeting to be able to access it through onboard. So you won't see the direct Zoom link by default, but you could potentially copy that in. All right. Regarding calendar integration, we have several external people join meetings, and when we send the Teams meeting link from onboard, they can't join because the link is through onboard. I've had this come up a few times with my customers as well. I think every situation is a little unique. I would definitely encourage you to chat through your particular use case with your customer success manager. There's definitely some things we can do as workarounds, some potential options depending on the type of access that they may need or you want to grant them. So again, some potential workarounds, but I definitely encourage you to, chat with your CSM about that directly so they can give you the best advice for your particular case. All right, I'm new to onboard, setting up my first meeting. If I publish the agenda and add supporting documents later, will board members receive an auto notification? So you do have a lot of control over the notifications for the meetings. So if it is already published, they will get an update that there's been some additional documents added just so they don't potentially miss out on something if they've already reviewed that. But if you still have it unpublished, you can make those changes anytime without them being aware. But yes, once it's published, we don't want any major changes to slip by them unnoticed, so they will get notified. So that is something to, just be mindful of. And does OnBoard perform better in Teams or Zoom? Honestly, I would say either one. With that integration, I don't think there's a right or wrong platform. I've got groups that use both of those, so either one is still going to give you a good performance. If you have access to both, I would encourage you to connect both accounts and maybe do a couple test meetings and see what experience you find to be better. So, yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I know I see we've got some activity in the chat, and there might be some questions in there. So, we will certainly look through those and make sure that we get those answered if there was any I missed. So, again, as we wrap things up, just wanted to thank you all for your time. I realize we have run over, so thank you for your extra time for those of you that are still here. Um, just as a final call out, we will be sending the recording to everyone from today's webinar in the next few days. So please feel free to share that with anyone you think would benefit from hearing what we talked about today. We're also going to provide a link to a list of the help guides related to the topics we discussed, so you can easily reference those. And lastly, like I've mentioned, your customer success team, we are here to support you and your board. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We love helping solve for those special use cases and making sure that you're getting the most out of your platform. So again, not about the major changes, it's about those small incremental changes that can make a big difference for your board this year. So let's make 2026 the most successful year yet. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.